At every organization on campus, I've kind of felt like I found a family. It's fun to go into work. It's not a job. We get to go into the Beehive and we get to work together and on these businesses. With the radio station, we do great work and we're a family. Same with the band and Kappa Kappa Psi and everything else I'm a part of. And so through my time at Edinboro, I've learned that a lot of things are important in life, but culture and family is something you can't replicate everywhere. And so finding your people is very important.
Bold ideas, inspiring stories, dynamic experiences. I'm your host, Dr. John Anderson, president of PennWest. Welcome to the Power of PennWest podcast. Welcome back to the Power of PennWest podcast. PennWest recently launched a new initiative bringing together innovative economic development programs across our three Western Pennsylvania campuses. P.E.A.K, that's P-E-A-K, at PennWest supports regional business growth while offering students meaningful, real-world learning experiences. Through partners like the Clarion SBDC, California's APEX Accelerator, PennWest Edinboro's Beehive, the Career Center, and academic programs across multiple disciplines, P.E.A.K provides resources for local businesses and gives students hands-on experience that prepares them to lead, create, and innovate. Two PennWest faculty members and two students join us to share their backgrounds and firsthand stories, offering a behind-the-scenes look at innovative entrepreneurship support in action and how PennWest's collaborative ecosystem is turning ideas into impact for both businesses and learners. Let's meet today's guests. First, Chad Smith is a professor of management and marketing at PennWest, focused on entrepreneurship, strategy, and leadership through hands-on learning. He brings business to life using simulations, internships, and real-world application. An entrepreneur and investor, Chad also co-authors the upcoming textbook, Personal Finance, and is committed to helping students build practical skills, confidence, and career-ready experience beyond the classroom. Chad, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Anderson.
I am looking forward to this conversation. Let's next introduce Chris Lantinen. Chris serves as a faculty director of entrepreneurship and leads the Edinboro branch of the NWPA Innovation Beehive Network. Based in the Baron Furness Library, he supports regional entrepreneurs with branding and marketing. A former Edinboro student athlete and journalist, Chris brings real-world experience to teaching, innovation, and community-focused economic growth. Chris, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Anderson.
And I will note we've recorded a number of the episodes in the Beehive's podcast studio. Unfortunately, we're not there today, but thank you for sharing that resource with us.
No problem.
Now, our two students, Ben Calming is a corporate communications graduate student at PennWest Edinboro, building on a bachelor's degree in strategic communications with a minor in music, a deeply engaged campus leader. He serves with the spirit of the Scots Marching Band, University Choir, WFSE Fighting Scots Radio, and Kappa Kappa Psi. Ben also works as a digital media specialist with the PennWest Edinboro Beehive, blending communication, creativity, and community impact. Ben, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Anderson.
I'll tell you, it was fun to see you in the radio station the other day. And with an intro like that, all of us, I think, are wondering how you sleep.
At night is what I like to tell people.
You've got a lot going on. And our second student today, Haley Liptak, is an MBA student in finance at PennWest Clarion, building on her undergraduate degree in finance with a concentration in personal financial planning. She works as a merchandising administrator at Dick's Sporting Goods and brings hands-on experience from the Clarion Small Business Development Center. Passionate about growth and connection, Haley is preparing for a dynamic career in business and finance. Haley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. I'm happy to be here.
And you are at the corporate office of Dick's Sporting Goods, is that right?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I've been looking forward to this conversation a lot. It's fun to see what P.E.A.K is going to do. It'll be new to campus, and it'll pull a lot of our strengths into one coordinating body. So this will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Let's begin with our students. Ben, tell us a little bit about some of the hands-on experience you've had as a student here at PennWest.
So the NWPA Beehive has been a great hands-on experience as a communications major. In our classes, we talk a lot about the theory behind communications and then talk about the actions that are going to lead us into the corporate and business world. And so it's really cool to get hands-on experience by working through the Beehive, by being able to take those communication skills that we're learning in class and utilize them when we're talking with our clients and trying to gain information from them and give them the information that we have gotten for them. And then we're able to provide resources for them through our search engine optimization, our marketing, our website audits. And so it's really cool to take the concepts that we're learning into the classroom and then provide them to then help better our community.
Excellent. Thanks, Ben. Haley, tell us a little bit about your experience. You're both a working professional and a student at the same time. How do you balance both of those?
Yeah, I don't sleep. Unlike Ben, I tell people I don't sleep. I'm kidding. I actually do. But just finding a schedule and finding a balance is really beneficial. And that's one thing that the Small Business Development Center really taught me in college, especially transforming into my MBA and my personal career now, because I was also a student athlete at PennWest Clarion, so having the SBDC as like a job that I was working at the time was good for me to learn how to balance all my schedules, and that has really transferred into my job today to be able to get my assignments in on time and still keep up with all the work that I have on my plate at Dick's.
So tell us a little bit about your athletic journey. What was your sport?
I played on the Clarion women's golf team. So I joined as a freshman. I got a scholarship and I played for the 3 years that I was at my undergrad. And I had such a fun time playing on the team. It was great to make those relationships at Clarion. And we had a great coaching staff and working with the athletic department. It was just amazing. Overall, everybody was super kind and encouraging.
Did you use that in your interview with Dick's Sporting Goods? Say, hey, I am a golfer.
Yeah, I did.
I would bet they appreciated that for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely something that helps you get in the door here for sure.
It's great. So, Chris, let's go to you next. You are also a student athlete. Tell us about your student athlete journey back in the day.
Of course, yeah, I attended undergrad at Edinboro and ran both cross country and track. And if folks aren't aware, the Edinboro cross country program has multiple national championships under their belts and under longtime coach Doug Watts, and multiple individual national champions. So it was definitely an honor to be part of that tradition. It was very hard work, getting up at 6:30 a.m. to do a morning run and running 70 to 100 miles a week during the season, traveling to meets, at Louisville and to Chicago. So all of this definitely kept me busy, along with classes. But it was all very rewarding. And, of course, I'm honored to be part of that Fighting Scots tradition.
Oh, that's great. And talk to us about your job now. You have a pretty unique position at a university. And I've had the chance to observe you in the classroom teaching, working with students, and working on community projects. But describe to us what your daily activities are now.
Yeah, so I'm the faculty director of entrepreneurship, which in terms of what that involves, it is a lot of P.E.A.K, which we're going to talk about today. But I also run the PennWest Edinboro Beehive. And the Beehive is a center on campus where students help out regional businesses and nonprofits. So the students get this amazing experiential learning opportunity, and because they have a real client, on their hands with real issues that they have to solve within the marketing and branding worlds. The business gets the help for free, and they get this help from these super creative and driven students like Ben. And obviously the SBDC helps out a lot of students too. So I'm sure Haley had her, real world client experiences as well that she can talk about. So it's really this incredible win-win that we have built because our students get this great experience, the business gets it for free, and we get to contribute positively to obviously business development in the region, but also overall economic development within the region. Because I think, back in the day, the way that we contributed to economic development in the region was really, okay, students are here, they're going to go to the businesses. and they're going to provide money to these businesses. But it's a much more layered process now, right? We can now provide these neighborhood businesses with things like technical assistance and innovative programs like NWPA Made that we're running. And yes, the student population, but it goes so much further than that now in terms of, I think, what PennWest wants to do and how they want to interact with the economic world of our region and with all the businesses that are in that world, so because we care about the economic stability and growth of our region. It's obviously a symbiotic relationship. So the Beehive is a big part of that, and we probably serve like 20 to 25 clients every semester across a whole bunch of different types of tasks like logo development and websites. And Ben mentioned search engine optimization is one of our big offerings. So I'm just happy that we can be involved in a positive sense in how this region grows and how all the job creating businesses around here survive and thrive.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's go to you next. You and I have had a chance to talk many times and have enjoyed the conversation. You are a little bit atypical as you come to the role of a professor because you've had significant business experience in terms of starting your own organizations, investing in others. Can you give us a brief synopsis of your background?
So yeah, so for the past, oh man, I'm getting old, 20 some years. I've owned 7 businesses, and out of those, and I bring this up in class, out of those, I did have one of those businesses fail. The rest have been successful. I currently have 2 businesses right now. One I've had for about a year and a half, and the other one I started about 6 months ago. And so we will see what the outcome is on those. But with that, and I say this really, the first business I had was a manufacturing company, and we ended up selling that. And I could have retired, but I wanted to get into academia. I wanted to teach others. And I really just came here as an adjunct, but I really fell in love with academia and teaching. And so now I've been here, oh my goodness, I think 18 years. And so, that's a little bit about my background, but I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship and honestly transforming the lives of students, seeing them really not just think how an entrepreneur, just learning about entrepreneurship, but actually doing it and understanding how to be successful, not only in entrepreneurship but in life in general.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little about how you bring that experience into the classroom. There are a lot of students who want to do something in the world of entrepreneurship, want to be an owner rather than just an employee. How do you help them change that perspective and from being, I need to find a job to I need to create jobs for others? That's a hard transition to make. How do you do that in the classroom?
It is. And so I think, for me, I think I've been very fortunate in the sense of because I am and have been an entrepreneur most of my adult life. And so I'm able to bring those experiences to the classroom. But first and foremost, because part of this is going to be, we're doing it online. So we do simulations is one. So we do actually quite a few simulations and try to give them real world experience through that. The other application that we use is that they start their own businesses. So a lot of my students, and this is where I'm seeing a shift, and I'm very excited about it, certainly this semester. I have probably 46 students in my current course right now. And I'm going to say about 12 of those have actually started their own businesses already or are in the process of starting their businesses. The rest of the students want to have an idea and they're, taking the course, and they do have to actually start a business. When I say actually, meaning they have to go through the process, right, and understand the process. And so that's another way that we do it. And maybe later on, I'll talk about some of the businesses that they are actually doing. So we have students currently right now that are making money through this process. And then the third way is really through, and I don't do the internships, Dr. Ryan coordinates those, but through internships. I encourage all of our students to do an internship. I think this gives, real life application. So again, my approach is not so much on the theory based, but, to apply what they're learning through this process.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's go to our students for just a minute. Haley, talk to us a little bit about your transition from being a golfer, showing up to class, doing assignments, working the SBDC. How was that transition from school to work for you?
Honestly, it's kind of a very similar concept. I feel like here at Dick's Sporting Goods, we're always running to find something new and to really grasp and how we can improve. So by going from working at the SBDC with school and how my golf team could do better, it really just transferred over pretty well because all day when I was working at the SBDC and going to class and going to practice, it was kind of like a 9 to 5. You really have to be present in the moment and just gain all of the knowledge that you can, no matter what. So it was kind of a really easy transition for me to go from that chaotic schedule in college just to my everyday life now here at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Thank you, Haley. And Ben, for you, it seems like if you got a full-time job, you'd be slowing down a little bit. Be all
Funny
present.
enough, like I'm working 40 hours a week right now. And so just like Haley, all of my organizations and everything I've done on campus has kind of prepared me to transition into the corporate world because of the fact that I've been so busy and I've learned so much from this school. I've been able to take that to my job at the Beehive and to my job at the Erie Regional Chamber.
Excellent. Thanks, Ben. Chris, let's go to you next and let's focus on Peak. What is it? Where did the idea come from? And how does it benefit students?
Well, I'm going to let Ben talk about the name because Ben and another one of our students who graduated last year, Sabrina Boots, actually developed the name of Peak. So, Ben, do you remember what it stands for? I'm testing your knowledge here.
Yeah, powering entrepreneurs through action and knowledge.
Yeah, so students developed the name, which, like Ben said, is PEAK or Powering Entrepreneurs Through Action and Knowledge. And what it really is it's a very purposeful collection of all those centers and groups that you talked about that PennWest has that help regional businesses and that help students launch businesses. So this obviously includes our Beehive and the SBDC and the APEX Accelerator, but also the Career Center and the Center for AI, and of course all the classes that interact with external businesses or help with student entrepreneurship. And what we wanted to do was unify all of these different pieces into a cohesive group so that we could work together on things like grant writing and business contests like Biz Pitch, and in helping students that have ambitions to start their own business, you know? And obviously this was also a chance for us to really track the collective impact of what we were working on, right? Now, there's always been collaboration. You know, I would send people to the SBDC that I think needed help with, say, like a business plan, but this is definitely a more structured collaboration. And it's just another way to, again, positively impact the business communities within our campus footprints, and to help contribute to economic development in any way that we can. Like the amount of free or low cost services that we are offering to businesses is quite staggering. And I think before Peak existed, we really weren't able to just say collect all of those services onto a web page, for example, something simple like that, so where a business can again see everything that we offer, look at the Beehive, what do they offer, the SPDC, what do they offer, and to have it all in that neat little package, I think is going to be very beneficial for us.
Oh, it's tremendously helpful. You know, we talk all the time about being community-based campuses within the Penn West University and having one place that we can point community businesses to, students to say, if you really want to get involved in this area, here's your starting point, rather than have to send them 10 different places across campus. Chad, tell us a little bit how you plan to use Peak in your classes.
In my classes, we use P.E.A.K. In fact, I just had a conversation with Chris to send me some information, and that is sharing with the students. So as the students are developing their businesses, business plans, business ideas, I'm giving them the resources that they have, or that they have access to, right? And so it's extremely exciting. When I taught entrepreneurship before, I would send them to the SBDC. And now with P.E.A.K, they have two different sets of resources that they have.
That's excellent. Ben, what's it like to be a part of the creation of something, naming of something that's going to be around at Penn West for a very long time into the future?
It was a really cool experience. Every once in a while, Chris pulls us aside from our normal day-to-day work at the Beehive, and he's tells us that he has a naming project for us. And so a few semesters ago, he asked one of my coworkers was at the time, Sabrina Boots and I, to come up with a name that kind of encapsulates all that P.E.A.K stands for and all that the program does. And one of our friends who had graduated before us, he loved acronyms. So we always try and find an acronym in honor of him because that was always what he tried to do with our naming projects. And so while there's other organizations that like go off of like fire and like blast and that kind of stuff, we were trying to look at like what is the apex of being an entrepreneur. So we came up with peak and we tried to find the words that fit into it. And so it was important that we captured both the knowledge and the education part, but both the application of then the knowledge that the school is teaching us. So that's where action and knowledge came through. And then the mission of the organization and all of our resources is to power entrepreneurs. So after probably spending like an hour at the whiteboard, going through different names and just seeing what sticks, we were able to come up with powering entrepreneurs through action and knowledge. And we felt pretty accomplished with that one.
Oh, that's excellent. And that'll be fun to look back when you're 90 years old, sitting on a rocking chair somewhere, look back at PennWest and see that you had a chance to help create that.
Most definitely. I'll tell my grandkids for sure.
Haley, tell me a little bit about some of the experiences you had in the classroom in environments like P.E.A.K that helped you prepare for the career you're in now.
Yeah, so I actually had the opportunity to be one of Dr. Smith's students. I took his capstone 4900 class. And so when we got to do those simulations that he was referring to earlier, it was really helpful, I would say now, like seeing how organizations are structured and how to retain employees and things like that. We actually had one specific simulation that kind of we had to almost contain all of our employees, and it was nice to see how we had to strategize to keep them happy in the workplace. And that's one thing that we value here at Dick's Sporting Goods is how can we retain our employees and keep them happy, because if you're not happy in your workplace, then the way that you work kind of reflects in how the company performs. And I think it's really important that we focus on that here because it just drives our revenue and our margins. And so I think that's one thing that transfers from directly from class to here.
Excellent example. Thank you very much, Haley. Chris and Chad, let's look into the future a little bit. So we've got this thing launched now called P.E.A.K. We've got lots of resources for students across the campus. What does the future look like? How are we going to grow this so that we can reach more community-based businesses, help more students engage in entrepreneurship, and create more jobs in the region? Chad, any thoughts about the future?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about the future, really. And so I know we haven't quite touched on it, but between and we won't go off into this, but with AI, with P.E.A.K, with the SBDC, I think students, because if you remember earlier, I said I am so excited to see so many students already starting businesses. So that is normally unusual. In other words, I'll only have one or two students in my class that will actually have started or they are truly wanting to start a business. So I see a shift here. And so with P.E.A.K, and again, with the SBDC, I just see this as a natural progression. In other words, I've just introduced P.E.A.K into our entrepreneurship courses. I see that growing. I see it as a resource. I see even the way I'm structuring the class. So P.E.A.K will be coming in, SBDC will be coming into our classes. And I think that in itself will generate enthusiasm from other students, engagement, and I think those students will talk to other students. Again, a lot of people only take entrepreneurship because they're in the management or business department, but there are so many other, and that's where I'm excited. And hopefully we can find a way to do that, but to reach all other departments and degrees that are out there, because there are opportunities around us all the time. And that's one thing that I tell our students. The problem is most of us don't realize them. And so, once I think students start to see these opportunities, because they have no idea how to maybe open up or take an idea, right, and develop it into an actual business itself.
That is so well described. And I think we could do a better job talking to students in all majors about the likelihood of them being an entrepreneur, even in a very small company, at some point in their career. So many people will go out and work for somebody and then decide, I could kind of do this on my own. I could consult in this area. And then all of a sudden they own a business, they've got two employees, and they're like, what do I do now? So I think the more we can get that spread across the institution, the better students will be prepared for the careers they may not choose, but will end up in.
Absolutely.
Chris, any thoughts about the future?
Yeah, I think I can approach this on a couple different levels. I think from, talking about the Beehive and our future here, obviously we're always adding services to the Beehive based on what we see as needs in the business community. And there's just so much, for example, there's so much going on right now with AI and search engines and these AI search overviews. And so, I've already been talking to the students about these traditional SEO or search engine optimization principles that we've sort of lived by when we help clients out with their website. And we certainly have to switch our approach, because a lot of what's happening is business websites are losing a lot of traffic to those AI search overviews. Somebody will put something into Google, they'll get their answer through an overview, and they'll never visit a business website. So our strategies on that front are changing quite a bit. And I'm sure if I asked some of my colleagues in the graphic design department who work with me here at the Beehive, I'm sure AI is impacting their work, building brands for clients and helping them either with their logo or business cards or whatever it may be. I know clients are sending over AI generated logo ideas, to them for inspiration or to communicate their ideas. So we're certainly dealing with a lot of transition on that front. In terms of P.E.A.K and what we offer here at the university, one of the things I wanted to bring up was our student startup hub at Edinboro, which is a room and a center on the second floor of the Baron Forness Library where students can actually rent out a desk and have a computer and get free office supplies and free printing and all these different things, and obviously be close to the Beehive, but just have a space to build their business. And and I'm with Chad that I think we want these students to know that their business ambitions, whatever those are going to be supported by these programs that we have on campus, a lot of which are, within P.E.A.K. And I think some of these times student businesses can almost be dismissively referred to as like a side hustle or whatever phrase you want to use. But even a side hustle in college can be the beginning of a family supporting and a job creating business, So sure, we all know, and I'm sure Chad knows that like the stats are not kind to first year businesses. I don't know the exact percentage, but I think it's like over 70% of businesses do not last their first year, And if students are going to start their own business, I think we want them to succeed and beat those stats and get all the possible resources they can possibly have, So I think in terms of P.E.A.K's future, it's going to be a lot of supporting student entrepreneurship, making sure they not only have the technical assistance they need, but even the physical space that they need so that they don't have to launch a business out of their dorm room and that be the only space they can work out of. Another part of that is also we want to bring back Biz Pitch, which was a Clarion contest that I think, Haley, you ran at one point, right? You helped Cindy run. So
Yep.
that's some more good synergy. But we want to bring that contest back, which is obviously inspiring for students. And obviously the AI Center is also a huge part of how we're going to help businesses in the future. I know Camille is doing an awesome job. Dr. Dempsey is doing an awesome job of giving regional businesses either lectures or assistance in terms of how do I use AI in blank kind of business, So that's going to be a huge part of how P.E.A.K interacts with businesses in the future, I'm sure.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Chad, were you going to follow up with something?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna really just, yeah, tie in with what Chris said. And that is, what I'm seeing is what a great opportunity for our students to again have an idea and really be able to develop their idea in a lean, very cost-effective manner. And a lot of people after they graduate just don't have this opportunity. And so again, as we're talking, I get excited about it. My mind's just flying in all different kinds of directions because again, entrepreneurship certainly has changed my life, and I've seen it change many, many other lives as well. And it isn't about just being successful. It's about those traits that you learn that you can use personally in your personal life. And so, anyways, I get very excited. But yeah, just saying. I was just wanted to tie into that just to say what a great opportunity for our students to develop their ideas and plans while they're in school here, because the resources once they graduate aren't always there.
Excellent. Thanks. It's been such a great conversation. Let's finish up with our two students. I'm going to ask each of you two questions. The first, what experiences did you have as a student that you are grateful you participated in? And then where do you see yourself in 10 years? Ben, why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, so in terms of how I participated, and it was just kind of the people in every organization. Not that I didn't love every organization for the work that they do, but at every organization on campus, I've kind of felt like I found a family. Like Chris is an incredible boss. Everybody we work with at the Beehive, like it's fun to go into work. It's not a job. We get to go into the Beehive and we get to work together and on these businesses. With the radio station, we do great work and we're a family. Same with the band and Kappa Kappa Psi and everything else I'm a part of. And so through my time at Edinboro, I've learned that a lot of things are important in life, but culture and family is something you can't replicate everywhere. And so finding your people is very important. And so where I see myself in 10 years, I see myself continuing on this track of communications, and maybe it's search engine optimization, maybe it's not, but I want to always take this idea of culture and family with me wherever I go, because I feel like that's one of the most important things that you can bring with you throughout life.
Excellent. Thanks, Ben. And Haley, why don't you finish up with answers to those two questions?
Like Ben, I would say the same thing. Like at PennWest Clarion, I had such an amazing time just finding the culture and the people that were at that university. When I was first joining the school, I remember telling my mom that that's the reason why I wanted to go to Clarion, because before I even stepped on campus, the community was just so welcoming and everybody was so nice. And working for the SBDC under Cindy Nellis and just having the opportunity to run BizPitch was such a great honor and experience. Working with clients every day to help them with their business plans and like making projections. That way we could help them with their dreams was just so rewarding to me, because once you help other people, it's great to see how they can flourish in life. And being on the PennWest Clarion women's golf team was also great, just like the camaraderie of the school and how we could reflect that by playing well. So those were some great experiences that I had at the school, especially working with professors. I had the opportunity to do my honors thesis, and I worked with Dr. Trejos and Dr. Ola, and that was great. And then as I see myself in the next 10 years, I would hope to be a DMM for Dick's Sporting Goods, or like an SVP or something along those lines of the buying teams.
Excellent. Thank you, Haley. Well, Chris, Chad, Ben, and Haley, it's been so fun to have you today teaching us about P.E.A.K. It'll be fun to look back at this podcast or listen back to this podcast 10 years from now when P.E.A.K has become what we hope that it will be. And many, many more students have had a chance to help shape their future and their career through those experiences. So thanks to each of you for joining the Power of PennWest podcast today.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.